So, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another video, a live stream. Tonight, I'm John. I got a Newcastle Toon legend, Barton. Good evening to you, mate.
Hey, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing well, my guy. How's things for you?
Yeah, all good, all good. Hopefully, we can get a result this weekend. Desperately need it. But the signs have been there. Signs have been good. But yeah, my life's been good in the US. I moved out here in '08 with a family, and we have 364 days of the year sunshine. So I can't complain. And I know you're in a little bit of a storm at the moment with the rain and the snow. So I don't miss that part of it all. But nice to speak to you anyway. Nice to speak to you.
You too, my guy. You too. It's just I always want to get you on sort of thing, like heard good things about you, and well, we got found out about your career at Newcastle and Wimbledon. I've got questions coming in. If there's any questions I'd like to ask Warren, please feel free. And if you do like the channel, do smash the like button, subscribe if you're new, and also keep those comments coming through. I can't read them all the comments because I got loads. So, yeah, I mean, I'm going to talk about Newcastle in a bit. And I've just got a few comments here, questions as well for you. And I've got Ben, first of all, even to Ben. Warren's question for you. If you're still playing new football now, without being biased, who would you rather play for, Newcastle or Brentford? Just asking for Gary Bongo.
I told you, Gary's not the brightest fella in the world. That's an easy question. But yeah, I mean, the place, the people, the football club, and just the area, not just hopefully in Newcastle, but all the northeast. I loved it up there. It was a great time. Obviously, the football that we was playing was second to none. The people that we met up there, but yeah, it's an easy choice. Listen, I'm born and bred in London, and proud to be from London. But the northeast is a special place, special people. They made me feel, and my family feel so welcome. Not just because I played for the club, but just because they're nice people. And when you hear comments like that from so-called pundits, it's a little bit insulting, but it just shows you a little bit of ignorance as well. So as I said, I'm not going to hang on my hat too much what he says anyway, because it's normally not the best. So people know Les Ferdinand was up there, David Ginola, Xhaka, Demba Ba. The list goes on and on and on. And when you ask them people about what it was like, the first thing they say to people, the fans, the city, was magnificent. So I'd rather listen to them people than Gabby, to be honest with you.
Well said. Well said. I mean, Gabby's not the brightest of tools. I mean, he's a bang average player, in my opinion. He hasn't won a trophy, right? Plays Aston Villa, never leaves Birmingham. Let's be real. And I tell you what, as well, I mean, he's got no right to come out. And Lindsay Hipgrave, I was disappointed about just stealing to him. Just say, look, hang on a minute. Less of that. You know what I mean? But
hey, listen. We've got bigger things to worry about than him. We've got to get out the relegation zone. We've got to get together. But there's been such a, in the last 4 or 5 weeks in particular, been a real togetherness. The city, fans like yourself, and everybody wanting to get involved, wanting to feel like they've got their club back. And that's where we're going now. Now we've got to start winning games. That's the biggest thing.
Well said. Well said. Got a question for you from Jesper, and he asks us, what's it like to go from playing for Joe Kinnear's Crazy Gang in Wimbledon to playing for Kevin Keegan's Entertainers at Toon?
I mean, that should be a title of a book, I think, going from Crazy Gang to the Entertainers. Wimbledon at the time with Joe Kinnear, and I know Joe's time at Newcastle wasn't great, but the Wimbledon spirit and the way that we was as players at that time suited Joe Kinnear. He let us cause havoc. He let us go out and express ourselves in whatever way Vinnie Jones wanted to do it, and that very much togetherness and spirit, something that held us high in the Premier League. When I was there for 5 years, we didn't finish anything lower than 9th. So that was a marvellous achievement for someone like Wimbledon. And then going to the Entertainers with the likes of Les Ferdinand, David Ginola, Peter Beardsley was already there, Tino Asprilla. We had a great team spirit, similar to the Crazy Gang in a way that was all together. There's numerous pictures where you've seen us all out together, having food together, going out as a family with the wife and kids, going out on a Sunday. So that spirit was there. And obviously that spirit took us nearly to the promised land of winning the Premier League twice. So, that spirit was there. So the style of football was totally different. Obviously, that goes without saying. But that spirit and togetherness was very similar in both of the teams. And I think that's what showed on the field for the time we was at Newcastle and like Steve Watson, Lee Clark, Robbie Elliott, Steve Howe, the local lads made us feel so welcome. And we carried that onto the field. So it was different in the style of football. And obviously Kevin Keegan is KK. He's just so unique in his team talks, the way he goes into training. And Joe Kinnear is Joe Kinnear. So, two big characters, but two totally different personalities in different ways of their style of football.
Fantastic. Well said. Well said. I mean, like I said, so it's been some great times in entertainment years in 94, 95, 96 under Kevin Keegan. And before that, absolutely loved it, man.
You was only about 5 or 6 then, weren't you?
No. I'm 52,
Oh, come on, man. You're looking well, dear. Oh, dear.
Man. I've still got to lose half a stone and I'll be fine. I've still got there.
Let's say a stone and a half, maybe, but you're all right. You're looking good. You're looking better than I am as well. You're looking better. I've got to get some of your lotion. That's what it is.
Yay! I love it, man. Love it. All of you, Lee. All of you, Lee.
All of you, Lee. Is that what it is? That's where I've gone wrong.
Yay.
I've been paying too much money on this expensive crap stuff. It's no good for me. I've got wrinkles and lines everywhere.
Bless you. Warren, you look fantastic. And don't tell the wife.
Exactly.
Please, Lord. I've got questions. I've got many questions I can, but I wouldn't be able to do them all. But got one for Lee. What was your favourite moment in a Newcastle shirt? I think we've gone for that technically. And also, he's asked us, what was your favourite thoughts about the one Barton centre partner chant? Philippe Arbert.
Well, the centre parting's gone. So, but yeah, I mean, that was to go. I just backpedal a little bit, and I'd gone for a difficult time at Newcastle. I wasn't playing well. The fans had every right. Was having a go at me in a certain game at Crystal Palace in the FA Cup, and my performances have been getting better, and we end up winning against. We was down to 10 men and won the game. So then to have 50-odd thousand people singing your name after a little bit of abuse for my performances, it was no one else's fault. It was my fault. To then start singing a song which was great. But then to find out they're singing a song about your hairstyle was even better, because it's not as if they were saying about he had a great right foot or he could cross the ball or he could tackle hard. It was about your hair. So that was quite amusing to have that. And it's stuck now, anytime I'm in the Northeast or on social media, centre parting comes up quite a bit. So my kids don't believe it because I don't think I had long hair. So they always think I had short grey hair. So they don't believe it. But the games that we have, the debut sticks out. When the four of us, Les, Ferdinand, David Ginola and Shaka Hislop, we made our debut against Coventry. There was such a buzz in the city building up to that, probably a week before, even 2 weeks before. The pre-season games, we was sold out, travelling around, playing the different games. And I remember me and Les Ferdinand walking out and the whole stadium was black and white with the shirts. We'd never seen anything like that. I'd come from Wimbledon and he'd come from QPR. And to have, at the time, it was nearly 37,000 people all wearing the same colours, walking into the stadium, whether it was, husband and wife, kids, whoever it was, granddads, everybody had their shirts on. So that obviously sticks out in my mind, my debut. And we ended up winning the game quite comfortably. And Les got his goal, which was great. The 5-0 against Man United always springs to mind. That's another one. The 5-0 against Nottingham Forest, and people say, well, why did you go on about that one? It was when Kenny Dalglish was there. It was the last game of the season at home. We needed to win big to get into the Champions League. And at that time, it wasn't 4 teams. It was 3 teams at the time. It might have even been 2, if my memory serves me right. But we ended up winning 5-0, beating Nottingham Forest. Les got a couple of goals. And then we was finding out as well that the Smoggies got relegated, and then also the Mackhams got relegated. So it was a double whammy for us. So we'd obviously got in the Champions League, and them lot had been playing in the Championship. So that was quite a unique feeling as well. And then one that really comes to mind is playing in the Champions League. The first time the club had played in the Champions League, you're playing at home, and you're playing against arguably one of the biggest clubs in the world, Barcelona. I know Messi wasn't there, but they still had Rivaldo, Luis Enrique, Figo. There's some phenomenal players and our great fans' favourite and a lovely, lovely fellow, Tino Asprilla, got a hat-trick. Keith Gillespie was on fire and probably the best game Keith ever played. And he played a lot of good games for Newcastle, but that one he was on fire. He was electric. But Tino took it to a new level, and we ended up beating them 3-2. So they're the ones that really jump out for me. But I was lucky, 220 times I played for the club, and this is no BS. Every single time I played, I loved it because I've worked so hard to get there. I've been told twice, you're too small. I played non-league, then to play in front of that city, them type of people, and to have that responsibility to play well for that many people. I thrived on it and loved it. And there's not a day go by that we don't miss it. And that's why we want the team to get back where they belong, which is challenging. We've never said about winning trophy after trophy, but we just want them to compete and have some good times. And I want the players to feel what I felt, because I'm never going to get that back again. And the fans walking into the stadium an hour beforehand, buzzing where they've had a couple of pints on the way in, they're really looking forward to the game, and someone like Ginola or Asprilla gets on the ball and does a bit of magic and the whole stadium erupts. That's what we want. And I was lucky enough and privileged enough to be part of that generation of top class players, and to play with someone like Alan Shearer, Shay Given, Rob Lee, and our great, we've lost him now, Gary Speed, was an honour to be part of that lot. And have KK and Sir Bobby Robson as our leaders. It don't come much better than that. Hopefully it does for this group of players. But as I said, I loved every minute, and people like yourself turning up to watch us play week in, week out, going away to places like Ewood Park, which is the hardest place to get to, and down to Selhurst Park down in London, and there's like 4,000 or 5,000 Geordies down there screaming behind you. It's a special feeling, and it's a special club and a special time in my life, because I loved every minute of it.
I mean, we're the best fans in the world, one. We really, really are. We just go everywhere. If we went from here to America, we take 10,000 there, no problems at all. No problems at all, because at the end of the day, we're a well-supported club. We're a big, massive club, right? And people don't understand this, right? Again, people say, oh, we're a big club in Newcastle. I never heard so much rubbish in my life. We are a massive club in the world, one of the biggest clubs in the world.
I'll give you a little thing as well, my man, is that I was walking around San Diego a couple of years ago and minding my own business, just walking along, and there's a Geordie with his black and white shirt on, and I'm in San Diego, Southern California. People say about the club and about, to be called the entertainers of that Premier League at that time was a big part of that history. You had the Invincibles, and you had Fergie's team, the Fledglings. The entertainers get to put in that mantelpiece, because we were so, Pep's come in and Klopp's done wonderful for the Premier League, but we was part of that. And whether it was the Grandad Collars, whether it's the players on the field, but for me, it was the fans, and it was the atmosphere that St. James's generated at that time, because it was so different to any other place. It was so different. It was so special. And you're right, my man. You've got fans everywhere, every corner of the world. So, it's a giant that's ready to explode. And now, hopefully, we've got ownership and people behind it that can see that, can feel that passion and that tension and that energy in the stadium, because they've got no idea at the moment. If they think things are going well with the fans, they start winning and they start having players that they can put the numbers on the back of their shirt and their names on the back. This place is ready to erupt, because it's been 14 years of misery, 14 years, and we've still stuck together. There's still 50,000 people in the Championship. It's phenomenal, and it irritates me when I hear people say about the club and what do the fans expect. They expect you to go out and play as hard as you can, and if you win or lose, they're still going to support you. But don't give in. They never give in, so don't give in. And that should be the message to every player that plays for Newcastle, because it's a great time, great place.
Absolutely right. What you said, everyone's 100% right there, my guy. Honestly, I've got Harry as well, even John Warren. During your playing career, were you ever in a situation similar to what we come find ourselves in at Newcastle? And also, do you think we'll stay up come May? Cousin Harry.
I do think we'll stay up. My heart obviously says, please stay up. But my head says it as well. I think with Eddie, the performances, we haven't won games, but there's definitely been a lot more togetherness. And even the players have come out. Fraser, Wilson have said, like, the training is intense. When we had Sir Bobby and KK, we trained how we played. You can't just switch it on and off as players. You can't not at the top level. At lower level, you can maybe turn it on and off. But at the top level, you can't do that. So we would train how we played. And Eddie's obviously done that. He's understanding the players. I think the January transfer window is going to be vital. And I think the ownership understands that. Yeah. And maybe going to spend more money than they probably thought at the beginning, because we haven't won the games. You was looking for that first result against Norwich or against Brentford, and then he gets COVID. Then we get a player sent off after 9 minutes. So it's never going to be easy for Newcastle and be smooth. But I do believe that we will stay up, and then I do believe from that we're going to progress, and we're going to start pushing up the league, and we're going to not talk about ticking along and surviving. We're talking about competing and challenging. Yes, it's a few years to come, but this is the most important time at the moment. This is a big part of Newcastle's history, and if we can get some players in at that time, I don't see no reason why not. We can't push up.
Yeah, I mean, we have got to stay up the season. I mean, January's going to be so important. I mean, I've heard people say we're going to spend 200 odd million, and people say you're just going to get loan signings sort of thing. I don't know what to believe. It's all rumours at the moment in time. So we've got to give new owners a chance. I mean, I'm backing them all the way, and these people's come in, and they've done a great job for me.
It's the silly things as well, Well, not silly things. It's the little things, like cleaning the windows in the first day. That people say, well, what are you going on about? Is that I went to St James's Park a couple of years ago, just before COVID, and it looked like a stadium that was just left to rot, like a corner shop that you see on the end of a road that no one really cares about. I mean, that stadium is the lifeline of the city. It's the first thing you see when you come into the train station. So to have an owner just to do that, and then they've spent some money in the community. I mean, that's another thing that they've done great that gets a little bit overshadowed. And then the training ground, and then even in St James's Park, they've started doing something for the players. So it's the little things that will make the big things better, and getting into that right area. We know the fan base, we know the stadium. All the stadium needed was a bit of TLC. I was embarrassed when I went there with people that I knew, because it was like, it ain't supposed to be like this. The football club is the heart of the city, and the heart of the football club is the fans. Now, the fans was walking into that stadium, and it was just left to rot. I mean, and they were still cheering and still trying to be optimistic. So the little things that the ownership are doing, and the big things, the money that they're putting in, is obviously going to generate lots of jobs in the northeast, lots of incomes for people. You're going to have that feel-good factor again. And then when you walk into the stadium, it's going to be pristine. It's going to look like what it should do, which is the cathedral of the city. And that's what everybody craves about. And so, as I said, we just need to stick together, which we are, support the players and Eddie, and hopefully we'll start winning some games.
Well said. Absolutely right. Totally agree there. But it's going to be back. They're going to come in. They're going to make the stadium a lot better. Sort of thing. Everything should be paid for. Everything should be done, and it should be a club to be proud of again. So fingers crossed. And what are the one things that annoys you, Warren, about the modern game that's constant cold games?
I was going to. VAR, I was always a little bit dubious of that, but I do see the positivity with VAR. I suppose it's like anything as well. It's the managers and the owners that they don't come out and tell the truth. They sort of hide behind things, and sometimes you get a feeling with the modern day players, and not all of them. I don't want to say that because that's generalising everybody, but that loyalty of staying with a club and supporting a club has seemed to be drifted away. But listen, I've got 3 young boys, and they're totally different to what I got brought up with my dad. I never see him for 10 years. He disappeared. But, so it's a totally different upbringing. So I see the modern game now. I see how quick it is. I see how exciting it is. But, we had quick, exciting players when we played, like Henry. Don't tell me Sergio Aguero's fitter and stronger than Thierry Henry. He was a phenomenal player, and both of them are. So the modern game, as I said, maybe the technology is coming into it a little bit too much, but it's there for us, and I don't mind that at all. Maybe because I've lived in the States for 13 years, that I don't mind technology and games taking 4 hours to finish and things like that. But I just think managers sometimes, when they see an incident, is to be a little bit more transparent. But listen, Arsene Wenger used to say it when Patrick Vieira used to 2-foot someone, I never see it. He would say I wouldn't see it. But I love the modern game. I love what it is. I get up here 4:00 in the morning to watch the Toon play or watch other teams play. So it's in my blood, and I love the game, and I'm proud of the Premier League and this the league what it is now. And thankfully Newcastle are part of that.
Champion, great stuff. Got a question for NUFC 1892. And Warren, do you have any ambitions to becoming a football manager in the future? And if so, what level would you like to manage at? I know Watson was managing at York City not so long ago. He's been sacked by York City. Well,
I did my pro license when I was at back in the UK with Stuart Pearce and people like Tony Adams, Roy Keane was all doing our pro license together. So I've done my pro license when I was playing, and my moving to America was to be with my family and to see my kids growing up. Now my kids are grown up, and all they ever ask for is either a car or some money. So they don't need the old dad anymore. But I would love to get back in the game. I missed the game. I was lucky enough to coach academy level, and I've been doing that for over 10 years now, whether it was LA Galaxy or, as I said, locally in the San Diego area. So coaching at a high level, U19s, U17. So I've been doing that. But yeah, I'm starting to look around. I'm starting to see. And I think like anything, I started non-league, but ultimately I went to the Premier League. So, maybe time's not on my side, but I'm still young enough, and I'm still fit enough, and got enough energy that I want to get into coaching now, whether that's MLS or we have another league over here called USL, but definitely want to get back in the game. I've done a lot of studying, and even through COVID, doing different courses, looking at, different things that are going on, keep your mind a little bit fresher going forward. So yeah, I'd love to get into it, and obviously ultimately the highest level you want to go and coach, but that takes time and that takes responsibility. But I do like coaching. I was captain at every club I played for, so I think I'm good at man management and knowing people, and obviously putting sessions on and coaching is slightly easy, but it's man managing players, man managing in the game, different systems, different style of play, and being in the US, I've seen all that, whether it's in Mexico, whether it's in the US, we've done the Bundesliga. So I've had a real wide area of looking at different leagues, but I would love to get into the game, somewhere.
Yeah, good for you. Maybe Newcastle one day, you just never know.
Well, if Eddie needs anyone to put the cones out, I'm quite good at doing that. I'm all right at putting cones out.
Yeah, but don't be Mick Arteta then. Oh, I love it, man. Oh, class. And no question for NUS 92. Do you ever wish that during your playing career that you played abroad in a league such as Serie A, La Liga?
Yeah, I think I would love to have that experience. When I was at Wimbledon, Roma was supposed to be interested, and at that time, at the early 90s, Serie A was the place to go. Van Basten, Hullet, they was all playing out there. Baggio, it was a place to be. But I was only a young boy. I was like 21 years of age, but that never materialized. But the thing with the Premier League is when it started in 92, 93. That was the destination. That was the place to be. But I would have liked to have maybe had that opportunity, but maybe because of my career, and I was lucky enough, I played a long time at Newcastle, which is a great club, obviously, and then they had the opportunity to go to Derby and got to 35, nearly 36. And I'd given everything then. I'd given everything to the game, and I was ready to retire. I was a PFA chairman. I knew that the career would never last forever. And I always remember Peter Schmeichel saying to me when we was doing one of our badges, he said, I said, why did you, retire at not so early, but you could have kept on playing. He said, I want people to remember me as I was, not what I am. And I was lucky, thankfully, touch wood, I never had too many injuries. I finished at Derby in the Championship, and it was time to, I didn't want to keep drifting down. I didn't want to go back to non-league. That's where I started, and it's a tough old league down there. So I was ready. So it was it was just the right thing to do. But yeah, it would have nice to have been try it out there. But the way my career was, I was happy to stay where I was.
Yeah, fair enough. You had a fantastic career, and big up to you. And just we'll remember you as a legend, sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, well done to you. I've got Ryan as well from Canada. Great guy, constantly channel a lot. Are there any Newcastle fans that you see in America? We touched on that one in San Diego, and anywhere else you've seen in America? Newcastle fans. One, you're mute. You're mute. Oh, he's gone. He'll be back soon because he's on mute as well. I do apologise for that, guys. Says even John, even Warren, you too. And even lads, great to watch. Our photo, our best right back for best 11. Toon fans love him. His words about the club and his performance for our club. Big up to my guy James, and hopes okay. Are you back, Warren?
Oh, the technology. See the technology. I don't know what happened there. I thought you cut me off. I thought I was so boring. You cut me off.
No.
Get him off.
No.
People are turning off.
No, bless you. No, I would never do that. Nah. I'm embarrassed if I did that. Yeah, yeah. And just read about James as well. Going, even lads, great to watch. Thank you very much indeed, James. Full to our best right back for our best 11. Toon Talk. Fans loves him. His words about the club and his performance for our club. Well said, James. Well said. And we've also got a question as well. Would you take Rafa Benitez as director of football at Newcastle if he gets sacked to Everton?
Yeah, I think I would. I don't know whether Rafa would want to do that, but yeah, that would be that's very intriguing. I know KK's name's been linked, but he's been obviously at the game for a little while at that level. But yeah, that would be interesting. I definitely would sit down and think about that. I think that's because he's very obviously passionate about the club and is well liked at the club. He understands the area, he understands the people, and I'm sure Eddie Howe is confident enough in his own ability that he won't be looking over his shoulder. You know, I when I did my pro license, funny enough, in Holland, we went out there and the technical director was quite a big thing, you know, and they sat opposite the manager. I think in England, we get a bit paranoid that a technical director is actually looking to get your job. And some of the technical directors are after their job. So I think if it was transparent to say, look, Rafa, you know, whatever happens, Eddie's in charge, Eddie's the manager, can we support him in any way? Yeah, I think that would quite work. I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting if he came to football. I think that'd be a great move for Newcastle United. I think the people, Amanda loves him, by the way, and we'll get him back in Newcastle any other way. But in a minute, we've got Eddie Howe as manager, and I'm happy with Eddie Howe. He'll be here for a long time. So there you go. We've got Neil. When is the next time you come up or back to Newcastle, St James's Park to watch a game?
Well, I'm hopefully going to come in the new year, but more like February time, March time is when I want to try and come over. Obviously, with the restriction with COVID, it was difficult. Yeah. I want to go and see my old mum again, and my brother and sister down in London, see how she is. COVID obviously was a tough time for us, not being able to travel and see everybody. But yeah, I mean, that's, I'd love to have come to some of the games before. Even when they was over here, I reached out to the club, but unfortunately at the time, the ownership at the time never got back to us and said, no, it's okay. When they was up in Portland or when they was in the Midwest, I said, like to go over there. We're in Miami and they didn't really fancy me going over there. So that was fine. But yeah, I'd love to get back up there. And it will be before the end of the season, definitely.
Yeah, it'll be great to see. If you do come up, we'd love to see you as well. So if they get you autographed.
No problem, my man. No problem. Pleasure.
So, jamming. And got Kieran Robert as well. He asked us, it's a good question, by the way. What would you say to a player if they didn't know everything about Newcastle and were thinking about signing?
You would love it. As Kevin Keegan would say, we would love it. I think when you play for a club like Newcastle, it's that responsibility. And I think you'd say to a player, if you're willing to take the responsibility of a city and on your shoulders and play for them, they will love you for that. And there's not too many clubs that have that affinity with the players and the fans. Teams are well supported and they like them and they've got fans all over the world. But there's something special about a fan and a player wearing a black and white shirt with pride and with desire and with hunger and with effort. And someone like Peter Beardsley told me that quite earlier on in the club. Whatever happens, try. That's all you got to do. And if you add that with the ability that you've got and other players playing around, but yeah, I would definitely say players, this is a special place to play football. Wherever you've played before, wherever it might have been, any part of the world, it's not quite like this. This is, until you experience it and be around it. That's what, again, pisses me off when people say, well, the North East and what. It's a special place. And because you spend one night in the quayside and then go home, that's not what it's all about. That's not what the place is about. Yes, that's part of it, and we had a great time doing that. But it's more than that. It's more than that. And I think players would thrive in that atmosphere. And if you won something, wow, we're people like us, and people obviously call us legends and stuff like that. But if you actually won a bit of silverware, they'd build another statue next to Sir Bobby and Alan next year, because that's what we all want. We all want that for the club. And as a player and as a manager, that must be some incentive to do that. That's why, with all due respect to Steve Bruce, and great respect for him as a player. He knew the area. And what I found really strange from the outside looking back is that he didn't get that across to his players. You know, it was always about the opposition being better. It was about the clubs being bigger. He's from the Northeast. He knows what the people are like. They don't want to hear that. They want to hear about their club and what we can do and how we're going to do it, not what Brentford's going to do against you or Burnley or someone like that. You know, that's not what we are. And, you know, as I said, all the Geordies, like you said it as well, my friend, you know, when they travelled away, they didn't care where to go. They weren't intimidated or worried about it. They get together, have a sing song, and have a laugh and a joke, and then watch the game. That's their mentality, and that's what the team should be. The mentality, we respect people, don't fear anybody, don't fear no one.
Totally agree. Because at the end of the day, we're Newcastle United sort of thing. We're the ones got to let a fortress on a stadium, not worried about them. Do you know what I mean? But some people, Steve Bruce, man, I'll tell you what. In my opinion, he should never take this job in the first place because, for me, I mean, he wasn't good enough. I never wanted him here because he's not saying he's past it, but he's just not good enough for Newcastle United, and it's been proved. I mean, he doesn't do tactics. He doesn't, he's always plays 5-4-1 or 5-3-2, whatever sort of thing. Get the ball with ASM all the time, and that's it. His record in Newcastle's been shocking, and 2 wins from 21 should have gotten the sack. No wonder actually didn't sack him because you don't want to pay $8 million.
Well, we're moving on. That's in the past. That's in the past. Let's move forward.
We're talking about my guy Billy on my channel as well. What makes you deck Chippo at Highfield Road? That's probably the best punch I've seen on a football pitch. And what did Sir Bobby, or the great late Sir Bobby, say to you afterwards?
Well, truth be known, the player spat at me. And I missed him with the first one, but got him with the second one. So I deserve to get sent off. But he did spit at me, which is a no-go for me. Yeah. But Bobby, being Bobby in his way, had a word and then fined me 2 weeks' wages. And in no uncertain terms said, whatever happens, you don't do that because we need you on the field. But Bobby, even in his angry mood, was still, would still be polite and let you know. But he had a few choice words to say to me because I said it to him and he said, okay, I understand that, but you've still got to be better than that. And, it was one of them things. I just lost my head. But when someone spits at you, it's a little bit difficult not to retaliate. But as I said, the referee made me laugh afterwards because he said, the first one I sort of missed. It's when you hit him again that I had to send you off. The first one you might have got away with. But it said, because I missed him and then went again, that's when they said, get off. But yeah, you live and learn, my friend. You live and learn.
Exactly. We have to call you Ron Fury from now on.
No, Fury can knock people out. I get knocked out.
You get knocked out clean. And can you imagine Tyson Fury being a footballer? I'll tell you what.
It'd fit into the crazy gang. It'd be fine with the crazy gang. Him and Vinny and Mick Hartford. It'd be fine with them too. Big John Fashion you. It'd be all right with them. And
the foursome, the gruesome foursome. That's what I said.
Yes.
Right. I got active as well. Fly these quick less sort of thing. We're going to talk about Saturday's game and also talk about Eddie Howe. A lot of the older guys, grassroots and professionals, struggles with weight management after football. Do you have any lifestyle habits that helps keeps you in good shape post retirement? That's a good question there.
I'll give you a little rundown. About 3 years ago, I was sitting in a hotel room in Chicago with my son in the Midwest playing, and I was. Have you heard of Dunkin' Donuts? You know, Dunkin' Donuts, these donuts. Yeah. So I'm sitting there with a box of them next to me and I'm eating and I could feel my hand resting on my belly. So I looked at my wife had been going on about, you think you want to, lose a bit of weight? I was like, shut up, I'm fine. I'm all right. I'm all right for 50. I'm not too bad. I sat there and I thought, right, that's it. I've got to change my diet because we get to a certain age. You're all right. You look $1 million, but I struggle a little bit. So I was sitting there, so I've cut down the bread. I don't have any Cokes and fizzy drinks, and obviously because of the weather, it's a lot easier out here. I go to the gym, and there's a place called Orange Theory, which the kids make so much fun of me about. But I go in there and exercise. So you row, you do weights, you do running, and it just keeps me motivated. Keep my mind ticking over as well. Gives me something to get up for. So yeah, I've cut down on the pastries. I don't go to Dunkin' Donuts anymore and have a dozen donuts sitting in a hotel room. That helps. And just obviously, more healthy in what I do. For 18, 20 years, you was living healthy. I had a couple of years where you let yourself go a little bit, but then I looked in the mirror and thought, you know what, it ain't supposed to be like this. So I got myself together a little bit. Got myself together.
Good for you, good for you. Because I'll tell you what, though, from next year sort of thing, after Christmas, that's to be done. I'm going to get myself to the good stuff from Christmas. It's pointless doing it now, but I'll still be okay. We'll see.
You look all right. You look okay, my friend. You're okay.
Thank you. Still flabby, but I look okay. I'm 6'2", so
exactly. You can carry a bit of weight. That doesn't look a bit. It's when the smaller. But I ain't too. I'm 6 foot. But when they, I've seen a few of my ex-colleagues, should I say, and they've had 1 or 2 beers here and there, and they've got to get in on his theory. They've got to start getting on that rowing machine. Mind you, that's the fucking road to America. Some of them to get some of the calories off. They put so much on there.
Exactly. I just got to be happy with the can. At least I've got which is a good thing, my friend. But there you go. And got Sanjeev. I mean, any funny stories of when you worked with accounting firm Arthur Anderson? Is this true?
Yeah, no. That's a blast from the past. Yeah, I was playing non-league football for Dagenham and Redbridge. As I said, being told by Leighton Orient, who Frank Clark, actually the Newcastle legend, he was manager there at 16 and said I was too small. So I had to take up a job in Arthur Anderson's, which is a chartered accountants. It sounds glamorous, but I was actually in the mailroom. So I wasn't actually a chartered accountant. I was actually just in the mailroom delivering the letters and documents for the secretaries. But me and a good friend of mine who I went to school with, a guy called Robert Nichols, we was trying to earn some extra money. And being young fellas as we was in London, we had a guy that used to give us some ladies' shoes. So in our mailroom, you'd have all the documents and mail, but in one of the corners was like a changing room where you could try on these shoes. So I used to go to work on a 50cc moped bike across, it's about 7 or 8 miles to get into central London. So I'd have these shoes on my back, on the bags, trying to get them to work, put them, land them all out to earn a bit of extra money in Arthur Anderson. So the girls would come down and get their documents, and I'll have a load of ladies' shoes for them to try and pick out. And it was all cash in hand, and everyone was happy. So that was, I don't think I've ever told that story, but me and Big Robert I'd go and do his mail. He would sell them for an hour. He'd go and do mine. I'd go and sell them. So we had a little thing going on there for a few months until our boss come in and see these boxes and said, what are these? I said, there's a delivery that's just come and we just need to get it out of the room. So we had to get rid of them after that. But we had a good run for about 6 weeks selling all the shoes.
Oh, wow. I'm making a million. But they made a lot of money as well. But just from the tax man.
Exactly, yeah. They took enough out of me, the tax guys, anyway. They've had enough out of me.
Know, bless your heart. So I got Ian Mack as well, and let's cut this shite. What do you think of the takeover and Eddie Howe, in your opinion?
Obviously, when it happened, I didn't sleep that night because I'd spoken to a couple of journalists about it might happen. Possibly it could happen. Then I spoke to, as I said, one person in particular, and they said it's going through. The Premier League's okayed it, and it's going through. And it's just so much excitement, relief, pride of the club being back. So that was the first feelings that I had. And then obviously I think the ambition of the club, Umar Emery was a coach that they obviously looked at. And then you touched on it, when Mike Ashley was there, they looked at Steve that had done well in the Championship, had managed to get teams to survive in the Premier League. This club was then looking, and this ownership was looking for people to win trophies. Umar had won trophies at Seville. He'd won the Europa Cup 3 times, been involved in the Champions League. Okay, it didn't work out for him at Arsenal, but it's always difficult at a club like Arsenal when the changeover with Wenger and new people coming in. And then to have someone like Eddie was great, to look at someone that's forward thinking. I think he's articulate. He's forward about the game, how he sees the game, how he wants it to be played. You look at his record, what was it, 3 promotions in 6 years. He kept Bournemouth in the Premier League for 5 years, and it had run its course. It wasn't a club that could build a new stadium, get more revenue into the club. It is what it is, 14, 15,000 people. That's all they could get in that stadium. And he'd done well, their style of football. It wasn't too long ago when he was at Bournemouth, people were talking about the England manager and maybe going to Arsenal before Arsene Wenger. So to get someone like Eddie, and I think he showed that with his press conferences. I think he showed it with his training. I think he's shown it with his ideas. But also he showed it with his man management. Joelinton looks like a totally different player. He's getting the best out of someone like that we need to have at the moment. He's saying the right things. He's doing the right things. But he's going to get judged on performances. He knows that. But what I think, or what I know with someone like Eddie, he won't leave a stone unturned. He will make sure every detail, everything he can do to benefit the club, he's going to do that. And he's young, he's vibrant, he's energetic. And obviously, as I said, he's got a good resume in the Premier League. So let's get behind him. The fans have been magnificent. Can I say that? You know, going to Selhurst Park, Selhouse. Before Spurs game, you couldn't give them the tickets away there. People didn't want to go. As soon as they heard the news, it was a sellout. Selhurst Park, sellout. Arsenal, sellout. You know, the away fans have been going. At home, the atmosphere that they've had, and they still ain't won a game. Against Norwich, going down to 10 men after 9 minutes, it could have been quite easy for the fans to, you know, get disappointed, be down about it, but they didn't. They drove the team on and nearly got the team over the finishing line, but you know, we had to settle for a point in the end. So, you know, from that point of view, I like him, and I think he's going to do well.
Yeah, I think he's going to be there for quite a long time. I think this guy is going to make it great. I really, really do. I've got Jimmy, and what I get, John, the great one, Barton. What do we feel? But hello from American Warren. That's from Jimmy, saying he's American, and he said hello to you as well. And we've gone for that. He's going to try and come back in February, Dublin. And can you hear us, Warren?
Yeah, I've got you.
I thought you went off again there.
No, you're good. You're good.
Thank you, man. And I mean, even John Warren, would you like to see arrive? Who would you like to see arrive in January? That's from John King.
Yeah, I think when you've looked at the reports coming in, you know, Trippier, an England international, Jesse Lingard, I think we need to put through the spine of the team. We need a centre half desperately, you know. Connor Cody, I like him at Wolves. I think he's got personality. He organised defensive very well. Aki as well, the young kid at Man City that Eddie knows, the Dutch player, someone like him to come in. And going back to what you said as well, it's not an issue to get a couple of loan signings. You know, yes, you want permanent deals, but with all due respect, the permanent deals you're going to get are maybe not going to be for the next 5 years anyway. You know, if it's an 18 months, a 2-year window, and then you turn players around, that's the nature of the business you're going to be in. I remember Sir Bobby Robson, you know, when he first came in, he went and got Kevin Gallagher because he knew Kevin could play down the middle with Alan. He knew he could play on the right, which would allow Kieran or Craig Bellamy to play with Alan. He can also play on the left, Kevin, so it allowed Kieran Dyer or Bellis to play in different areas. So, you know, that was a player that we got short term that got us, I don't know, 11th, 12th in the Premier League. And from that point of view, I know it's a different scenario because you had the likes of Alan Shearer, Shay Given, you know, Rob Lee, Gary Speed, myself. But, you know, nucleus of some decent players that we've got, and you add some other players in, can turn things around pretty quickly. But definitely, I think through the spine of the team, you know, God forbid anything happens to Wilson, we need to get maybe another striker in, just in case. But I think people will start looking and thinking, wow, you know, if we do turn it around and do start going, what a place to be. But, you know, I do think you have to look at a few players that know the league, know the area, know the club. And as I said, someone like Lingard and Trippier and Connor Cody, they're type of players that you can build on. Raheem Sterling, still only 26 years of age, not playing every week. But isn't it lovely to be talking about that type of player rather than who's around that no one really wants? You know what I mean? That's how desperate it got with us sometimes. You know, in the past years. So it's going to be exciting, and I think we're going to be linked with every single player going, but. You know, we're not going to go and get Haaland or Mbappe yet, so we might do that. Might get that in a couple of years' time, but at the moment, we'll just stick with what we can get and build from that.
Absolutely, just don't worry about the elite player sort of thing. We've got to win things first before you can think about getting an elite player sort of like a Haaland and Mbappe's and that sort of thing. You know what I mean? So yeah, you're right there. Just get someone who knows the Premier League. It's just going to get us out of it, and we should be okay. I've got start cap. I need to get his first name, by the way. Love this guy, Warren, even from afar. Always representing as well. Who's the most underrated player you played with during your career?
I don't think it'd be fair to say, but Rob Lee comes to mind, and also Gary Speed. But I wouldn't say he was underrated because the fans loved him and they appreciated him. But I think Rob Lee, for someone, when I went at the beginning, he was box to box, scoring goals, coming back box. And then he was good enough and intelligent enough when Bobby come in. He was more of a holding midfield player, would spray the ball around. You remember that famous pass to Alan Shearer against Aston Villa and volleyed it in the back of the net against Schmeichel. So, Rob Lee was one of them players, and I think Gary, and God rest his soul, it was 10 years ago this weekend we lost him. Gary was a consistent. Most players like 7 or 8 out of 10 consistent players. Gary was an 8 and a 9 out of 10 all the time, in my opinion. In my opinion, so he was someone that was consistently playing well. Noberto Solano as well, but we love Nobby because he just had that personality about him, and used to play the bloody trumpet at 11 o'clock at night when we was in hotels. So he was there, but definitely, as I said, someone like Rob Lee to do what he did, to adjust in his game, for what you paid for him, £750,000 at the time. KK, arguably the best signing Newcastle's ever had. So I think from that point of view, 22 caps for England. Played with him obviously at Derby, know him very, very well. As I said, a friend of mine. But yeah, Rob would be one of them that I would say, him and Gary definitely stood out.
Yeah, they didn't cost a lot of money as well, by the way. Matt Newson play our sofa, and they're better than the ones who got the deer. Let's be real. And tell you what, the ones who got the deer wouldn't even lace their boots, let alone clear the alongside them. So I got Ian Mack again. What do you think of Newcastle basically starting this money grab? As Keegan said, we're starting to push over rolling. Now, the big 6 are trying to shut us out. What's this Super League? I mean, they're trying to have a Super League, right? Knowing they can't have it, and yet they're trying to stop the takeover as well.
Yeah, I mean, the Premier League there was a rule for whoever was going to buy over any football club. And it makes me laugh when I hear about this top 6 with Spurs and Arsenal when they weren't even in it. And Chelsea, when I played against Chelsea, was struggling to challenge to do anything. I think it's fear with a lot of them, and whether they've done this quiet handshake that they're not going to sell any of our players to Newcastle through the Premier League. Well, there's other players in the Bundesliga, Liga. So if you don't want our money and you don't want, that's fine. We'll go elsewhere. And that's fear. That's a sign of fear that they're worried. Then all of a sudden now there's another club at the doorstep. It ain't a top 6 anymore. It's not, and it never has been, to be honest with you. So, from that point of view, I think it would make the owners more determined. And what a better feeling it would be to put the cat amongst the pigeons with that lot, just to say, right, okay, you don't want us? Now we're here and we ain't going anywhere. And we will go and buy players from different areas and, different regions and go and bring them in. So yeah, I got that. That's just, for me, it smells of being fear. And as I said, the Premier League had their rights. They put it out there what the rules are, and we abided by that. And as far as I'm concerned, that's done, and we're moving forward.
Clearly rattled, absolutely clearly rattled.
You know why they're clearly rattled? Because it's 300 billion.
Yes.
Not 3 billion, not 33 billion. 300 billion.
Yes, right.
It's insane. We should make a song out of that. I don't know how we're going to do it, but
exactly.
Make a song. So that's the fear. When you see City that are 22 billion, and then when I see it, it's like 300 billion. It's like, okay, I would be scared. I would be petrified.
I would. I'll tell you what as well. I mean, he just said that you don't want money. That's fine. We go abroad in 3 years' time. We get holiday. And I tell you what, they'd be rocking. I'm telling you. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, imagine.
I'll find this cards very quickly. I know we're going to talk about the game. There's one thing: the game's become a non-contact sport. Players can't do too easily, and getting yellow cards for very minor challenges seems modern. Game is about speed rather than strength.
Yeah, I think obviously the tackling from the side and going through the back and has changed the game. It's supposed to make the game more quicker. What it has done is made simulation a part of the game. It's like an art form now. If you can roll over, and get someone booked, it's part of it. I mean, it was hilarious because even in my time, the 90s, I was watching what was happening in the 70s and 80s on social media. They show you these videos of Leeds versus Chelsea and, Chopper Harris and Billy Bremner kicking lumps out of each other. Yeah. And Franny Lee having a fight. That's when the gloves are off. I mean, yes, there was physical contact when we played. But as I said, the likes of Roy Keane and Vinny and Patrick Vieira and that, it was totally different. But the game was still quick and strong. But I think the difference was the mentality of the players then wasn't necessarily getting someone booked. It was getting them back. So if you kick me, I'm not going to get booked. I'm going to get you back. So I think now it's about getting someone booked and trying to manipulate the rules that you can maybe get someone down to 10 men. So yeah, all this rolling around and holding your face. I mean, if you watch it on YouTube as well, I think it was in Brazil.
Yeah.
A player had gone down and the ref tapped him on the back, say to come on, get up. It was a referee that tapped him. The fella jumped on the floor and started rolling around. He didn't know it was a ref, and he got booked for doing it. So I mean, that's how crazy the game's gone. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what I don't like. You know, people trying to get people booked and all this with their hands, with the cards. But the referees after the Euros have been a bit more lenient and let things go a little bit. And I think you've seen that in the games.
Yeah, I have. My God, you just can't do that, man. It's just crazy. Can you imagine players like Vieira, Keane, back in those days, sort of
they wouldn't even get on the field. They wouldn't be allowed to get on. They'd be booked and sent off before they get on the field.
Exactly. They're so clever, aren't they? They're so smart ways, you know what I mean? But Trouble House, my God, what a player he was, man. The great late Norman Hunter. My God, what
bite your legs, Norman. That was his nickname. Yeah. That tells you a little bit about Norman Hunter.
Exactly. I would like to get near him, by the way. Just stay away from him. I wouldn't get near. Big lad though. But I trust Eddie Howe and the team. Wish with him all the best. Thanks so much, Brian. Did you ever go to any parties from Geordie?
Yeah, Tino would have one or two get-togethers. Nobby would have his barbecues as well. But yeah, I was social. I wouldn't say I was the entertainment manager as well. So whenever a Christmas party or someone's birthday, we would all get everybody together. Or a new player coming into the club, we'd make sure that we made him feel welcome with a night out and a bite to eat. So yeah, I'd be there. They called me Cinderella though. I was back by 12 o'clock.
Sure. What's his English like, by the way? Is his English good or is not the best?
He didn't need any English. Don't worry about that, Tino. He just said he knew 4 words. That was it. And I won't tell you what they was, but what a player, what a person. And yeah, a pleasure to be around. And you know, he's a legend only after like 2 years there. So great player.
I love Tino. Every time he gets that ball, it's just so exciting. So excited to watch, Ron. He really is fantastic. I got Alex Tito. Warren, how was it being part of probably the best ever Premier League matches of all time with the 4-3 defeats to Liverpool at Anfield? Scored and sensational tap-in also.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, you don't realise, you know, the first one, actually, I was just on the bench and the famous picture of Kevin Keegan laying over the boards when Stan Cullimore got the winner in the dying seconds. And the second game was a totally different game because the first one was end-to-end and we scored, they scored, we scored. The second game, we was 3-0 down at half time and we was awful. And Kenny Dalglish didn't hold back at all and told us. And we slowly, Tino actually got a goal. Keith Gillespie, and I don't know what I was doing in the penalty area in the 97th minute. I won a header, the ball bounced down, and I just poked it through David James's leg and got to 3-3. But lo and behold, bloody 90 seconds later, the ball goes wide. Robbie Fowler comes in and heads it. And I can just remember David Batty going, I don't effing believe it. I don't effing believe it. Just repeating himself in the middle of the field. And but yeah, to be part of them games and to do it back to back is surreal, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's memorable games. Anfield's always a special place to play at night, and to be on the lights and on the TV was special as well. But 2 totally different games in the concept of the other one. The first game end to end, and you know, had a big implement about us, you know, being top of the league. The other one was more. It couldn't happen again. You can't get a 4-3, and we ended up doing it again. But lo and behold, we let a goal in the last seconds of the game and come away with no points. But we knocked him out the cup that year with Steve Watson with a chip, so that was one good thing.
Oh, man, what a goal, that! Wow,
he didn't know. Can I just say, Watto didn't know what he was doing. He just kept on twisting and turning. Then in the end, he just chipped the keeper from outside the box. So we was all laughing about that when we knocked him out 1-0.
Oh, I've seen cracking goals over the years of your time, but that goal was one from Steve Watson, by the way. What a goal. And I can't say it'd be 4-3 again with Liverpool Newcastle. See that? Not now. Not now.
No. Not the way they're playing. No, not the way they're playing.
That team's a killer. Mo Salah, that guy is unreal, man.
Yeah, he's a player. He's definitely. If they don't pay him the wages, maybe we can get him.
Exactly.
Yeah, we get him on a free transfer.
I'd probably happy paying £1 million a week for Mo Salah. No problems with that. but he's got to show it every single week for the money. But
yeah.
So I got Lee as well. Hi, Ron. Do you reckon the crazy gang will survive in the Premier League today?
Yeah, I do. I do. I think, yes, we relied a lot on intimidating people, but we had some good players as well. John Scales went and played for Liverpool, played for England. Terry Phelan obviously played for Man City. Keith Curl, I went and played. Big John Fashanu. Vinny maybe wouldn't last 90 minutes too many times, but I think we'd give it a go. I think, we knew what we was. We was fit, we was strong, we was organised, and we was physical. Burnley to an extent, and we had a good togetherness. So, I'd bank on us to stay up with the group of players we had.
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, big up to you as well, but see what happens on that one.
If not, we'll take a few teams down with us.
Yeah, we will. Literally. And leaving there, we get back up again, like, Gosh, man. I got to Ian as well. I literally already seen Newcastle fans turn on Eddie. It's ridiculous, man. How can you do that?
Yeah, it's sad. And, even with Sir Bobby, I remember one or two fans were saying, oh, he's got to go. Give him a chance. Let's get behind people. And, it's the old cliche. Yes, you pay your money. You can say what you got to say, but let's be realistic. Right. Let's wait. But that's the world we live in at the moment.
Sad, you're right, mate. Absolutely right. And I've got, I can't get over the comments there, but couldn't even afford Hamsey Chaudhry on loan in the summer. And now we're talking about Trippier, Cody, Lingard. It seems bonkers. What a turn of the year.
Well, if you would have said 6 weeks ago that we'd be having this conversation, think about where we was and what we was doing. I mean, it was awful. And to see the transition in 5 or 6 weeks without any new players, without any new, influence on the training ground too much, and that togetherness. So there's optimism there. There's hope, which we haven't had. We've not had hope for 14 years, and it was just dire what we was going through. But now we've got a bit of hope. So. But we still have to keep it real. We have to keep it real. We have to keep it focused, and it's steps. You can't just go from one extreme to the other. From being a team that's in a relegation battle and struggling to be a team now that's going to compete in the Champions League. It takes time, and that's why the ownership, and they're not going to get everything right. They said that they're not going to make every decision correct. And nor is Eddie. But what you have seen is steps in the right direction and positivity. This is what we desperately need.
Yeah. I agree with you. I mean, what you said there was absolutely spot on, sort of thing. But we've got the club back, got Hope back. Everyone's happy, and we could just start talking about things as well, sort of thing. You know what I mean? But we're bottom of the table, but at least we got our club back, and that's the most important thing. And I was surprised how Premier teams reacted to Newcastle being the richest club on the planet. Are you surprised?
No, not at all. I think, I remember when Chelsea, Abramovich come in, and then obviously Man City with their new ownership, the Glazers going to that. There's always going to be, people that are concerned and people that are worried. And I think what's maybe the reaction from everybody, which you touched on before, is that, what they can do to Newcastle, they can go and challenge. So I think that's put, as I said, the cat amongst the pigeons, and made a few people worried, which is good, which is what we want.
Absolutely. It's that time we're giving hope. But all these other pundits just don't want us to be the richest club. Sodom. Exactly. We're not going to talk about them now. I mean, I got my guy Chris I work with in my job. He's a great guy, love him to bits. And big up to Chris, Aston Villa supporter, and he's happy. And great show, John Warren. Did you get any flashbacks of the 90s with the atmosphere in the last few games, like the Brentford game? Yeah,
definitely. The atmosphere before the game. The only thing I would say, when we played, it was for 90 minutes. It weren't just for like 5 or 6 minutes at the beginning. We kept it going. But yeah, it's been great to see people in the stadium early, wearing their colours, the flags, and that have been sensational. They've been something to marvel at, of watching the fans get in there and just, reading between the lines. I'm not obviously there, but watching people get to the ground, walking in there, there's a real buzz going into it. But, as I said, the last home game, Norwich, 9 minutes, we're down to 10 men. So that deflates everybody. let's give ourselves a chance. Let's give ourselves a chance with everybody on the field. The manager being in the dugout rather than the game before at home. He gets bloody COVID, you know. Thankfully, he was fine and he's back. So, as I said, it's never going to be easy. But maybe this Burnley game, we've got 11 players on the field, got Eddie in the touchline, Joelinton playing well, Wilson maybe wearing the armband, and I said that really just to let Jamal just be a defender again. You know, just get back to defending, because I think the pressure of being a captain and trying to play well, you know, he has struggled, Jamal, at the back. So maybe letting Wilson wear the armband. You're not stripping him of the captaincy. All you're doing is just managing him and saying, look, get back to being a defender. It wasn't too long ago that he was linked with being in the England setup.
Yeah.
Now, because of your performances and because of the back line, focus on that. You know, don't worry about tossing the coin and seeing where you are.
Yeah. Just go out there, be a defender properly. Rafa tried to be a better defender. Since he's left, from my opinion, he's gone backwards. He's gone backwards, in my opinion. I just don't think he's been playing well at all. He gets caught out. I mean, he lets the defender go past him. I think his tackling's wrong. For me, in my opinion, personally, I like to see Fernandes and Cher at the back, in the back four.
Yeah, as I said, Jamal's he was a good player and he was a captain, but I just think there's a lot. His confidence is gone. You know, he's second guessing himself, and he's having to be the captain, and he's having to go on social media, and he's having to do team talks. Listen, I've done that. You know, I've been the captain of the club. There's a lot of things you have to do outside rather than just focusing on playing your game and going home. So it might do him some good just to get back and to spend a bit more time doing it, because we're going to need everybody. You know, we're going to need everybody at the moment until we get through this holiday period.
Well said. Absolutely right. Bang on. I've got Northumberland, Dave Harrison, late lad, so really enjoying the show. He's a fantastic guy. I've met him, loved the look, and I think he's Mr. Football for me, and he speaks sense as well. And that's been David. And I've got Kendall, question for you. Who's the striker you most feared, hate to play against? That's been Kendall.
I mean, Ryan Giggs coming up week in, week out playing against. Thierry Henry would be one that when we played against him at Monaco, and then obviously when he was at Arsenal, we'd be playing, and I'd say to Terry, you know, listen, I've got my mum and my wife and kids here. Do you mind going over to John Beresford? And he said, yeah, no problem, Mr. Barton. He'd slide over to Bez and go and terrorise him. But no, but, you know, I'd like to, you know, playing against, you know, good players, and Terry was one of them. Alan playing against Alan. But, yeah, I mean, Ryan playing week in, week out. But no, I wouldn't say no one. I wasn't worried about anybody, but I felt that I was a good athlete. I could take Ryan back and push him back. And yeah, the problem with Ryan, he could run both ways. Robert Perez obviously was a wonderful player as well. But yeah, I used to enjoy playing against the top players. That's why you play the game.
Brilliant. I've got this one, Ron Barton. You are my legend. That's from David McGacken. He's a lovely lad. And I couldn't level seven David because he loves to have fun. He's a great guy. And, you know, he came with me channel the other day, helped on the watch along. And Gary said, Junkie as well. And if he starts contact, there's any teams. I think I asked that. Did I ask that question? I did, didn't I? No, I didn't. Do you have any contacts with his own teammates? Yeah.
I mean, as I said, Rob Lee, Shay, Alan. Yeah, still keeping contact. No, but even Tino through social media, we've had stuff. So yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Fantastic. I want to talk about Saturday's game against Burnley, and we've got no wins. At the minute, 14 games without a win, and we need to win this game to have any hope.
Well, I said it before the Norwich game. That was a must win, and unfortunately, because of circumstances, a point at the end was probably a decent result. This, as I said, let's give ourselves a chance having 11 people, having the coach on the touchline. It is a must win. You know, we've got to start winning. You can't go 14, 15 games in the season without winning. So the pressure's on, and we know that, we understand that, but by hook or by crook, we've got to win this game. I don't care how you do it. I really don't care how you do it, but we've got to win this game. We've got to win this game.
We have to, because you look at the fixtures you've got next. You've got Leicester, Liverpool, Man City, Man U, Everton, and you know, if we could just win 2 games, or at least keep in touch with the 4th bottom team.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think if, you know, come the turn of the year, if we're in touching distance of some of them teams, then it's manageable. If you're 7 points adrift and stuff like that. It's a mountain you climb, because every time you psychologically we win a game, they draw a game, you're still 4 points, and it gets harder to do going forward. But fingers crossed, my friend. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. I won't give you too long. I know you're a busy guy. So I got Joelinton, Warren. What do you think of this 18 team against self-sponsors, even though most of it is not, or do it?
What's that again? Say it again.
He said, it's Joelinton. He's asking, what do you think of the 18 teams against self-sponsorship, even though most, if not all, can do it? Basically, I mean, we try to get our own sponsorship from Saudis, and basically all the other clubs didn't want to have it, so they complained to the Premier League, and the Premier League are kind of banned us for another couple of weeks.
But saying that everyone else has done that, haven't they? Every other stadium's got their own sponsorship, so the fair play ruling that you have is coming into play. And again, that's that fear factor. It's that fear factor of what might happen. And PSG, Man City, they've all had their own sponsorship on their own stadium. So isn't Man City called the Etihad?
Etihad.
So and the Emirates and places like that. So it's another obstacle, but as I said, we've got to worry about what's on the field.
Exactly. Tom's just saying, man, Arsenal won, and don't know who scored the goal, but also win by a goal to nil. I've got Mark as well. Hi, John. Could you ask Warren, what's it like to live in Newcastle? Do you think Nout will beat the support from Newcastle fans and other fans of the Premier League? I think we discussed that anyway. But
I mean, it's a great place to live. That the comments that was made earlier by someone is not worth really worrying about, and it's a great people, great area. So I loved it.
Thank you. I've got Christopher One Barton. What a guy. Great player. Even better personality from an Aston Villa fan. Love the guy. Love Chris, by the way. And he's so polite. And got one as well for Tom. Question number 1. Do you think Newcastle will stay up? That's from Tom.
Yeah, I think I answered that one. But I think it's going to be a grind. No. Sorry, let me rephrase that. It's going to be a challenge. And I think it's going to be a bit of a roller coaster. But I think we've got enough to stay up, definitely.
Champion. I've got Scorpion as well. Do you think Shay Given will ever be given his testimonial? It's way back in 2000.
Yeah. No, I would like to think so. And I think knowing Shay as I do, he's very close to a charity, close to his heart with his mum. So I think the cancer would be a lot of money would earn from that. So I think it would be a real feel-good factor if that was to happen. I mean, he was a great servant, Shay. And again, an even better player in person. He was phenomenal.
Yeah, I think he was my best keeper in my lifetime. Sort of things he's made. I mean, I tell you what, for me, he's a world-class goalkeeper sort of thing. Without him in goal, I think he probably struggle. We're not getting the top 4 at all without him sort of thing. I mean, he's been a difference for the club and that as well. And just a question to you as well. Do you think we should be getting a new stadium? Do you think Newcastle should move to a new stadium?
No.
Eventually.
No, I know. I like the stadium. I know behind one of the stadiums you need the building rights, but no, let's just keep where we are for a moment and keep building on it and going up from there. As I said, it's an iconic stadium. It's the first thing you see when you come into the city. It's the heart of the club. It's the thing. So it's the heart of the city, the club. So no, I would keep it where we are.
I think so. I say you want on the move, but I think so. It makes sense, doesn't it? Because it's heart of the city and it's heart of the cathedral as well, which I think is amazing. I got Tom, fantastic goal by Smith Road. Yeah, went down Indians, box on player, also scored, had that goal set that. So, yeah, thanks for that. And I mean, I was going to say as well that I was going to couple questions before I let you go. And first of all, we were going to stay up. I say we're going to stay up, in my opinion, because I think you get the players coming in. Mm-hmm. And we touched on Joelinton as well, didn't we? How his career's turned around. I mean, I get a lot of people saying, do you think he should play in central midfield sort of thing? He seems to be playing there a lot. He tracks back. His work is there.
Yeah, I mean, when I see him playing for Hoffenheim, he played in like a number 8 position. So he wasn't really a forward and wasn't really a midfield player. But more importantly, what I've noticed about Joelinton is his work rate and his commitment. And that's changed and his attitude's changed. And I think that comes from the management. I think we all see what Eddie was saying to him when Joelinton was running back on social media. You can't say it on air, but Eddie was encouraging him, and he loved what he was seeing, his effort and his fight and his togetherness. So if you can add that to the talent, at the end of the day, it's not his fault, the 40 million price tag, but what he can do is do better performance by his work effort and commitment, and he's definitely shown that in the last game and the last few games. So we're going to need everybody. So it's a pleasure watching him play.
Well said, absolutely. I mean, the thing is, so I've not been a Joelinton fan, but what he has done is work. I agree with everything you say. I think he's turned it around.
That's the job of a coach, is to make the players you've got make them better, and that's what Eddie's trying to do. And he can't make Joelinton into David Ginola, but what he can do is get the best out of Joelinton, and what he can do is get the best out of Richie. What he can do, Wilson, and so on and so on. And that's going to be Eddie's job going forward to try and do that. And hopefully, as I said, we can do it at the weekend against Burnley.
Fantastic. Just a couple more comments as well. I mean, Tom might have missed your predictions as well. What do you think the score's going to be on Saturday?
I'm going to go 2-0 to Newcastle. 2-0. I'm going to say a clean sheet, which we haven't done for a long time.
Yeah.
And then two goals.
Yeah. I'm going to say 1-0. I'm going to say 1-0. It's going to be hard work. It'll be a late goal.
A nervous 1-0.
A nervous 1-0 for me. And I'll be there Saturday, sort of thing. And let's hope my guy don't get me season tickets, sort of thing, but lucky there. And how we trust in Kendall. I've got Warren, in terms of where stadiums, which did you enjoy playing in the most, apart from Anfield or Trafford?
Highbury. I used to like going to Highbury. I was born 2 miles away from the stadium, and as a kid I was an Arsenal fan, so Highbury was always a special place. Ellen Road, the atmosphere there was always very, very good, and delighted that they're back in the Premier League. We won't be there for a while, but the stadium of Shire is a good stadium, good atmosphere there when we used to go there and beat them, the Macklams. So that was good. Goodison's, that old-fashioned stadium, fans right on top of you, has that atmosphere as well. So but Old Trafford. I remember Ian Rush saying to me, when he was coming towards the end of his career at Newcastle, he said, sometimes before kickoff, just have a look round and, see where you're playing. And when you look at, St James's, 52,000 people at the top of the stadium, the same at Old Trafford, Anfield, they're the type of stadiums that you relish playing in as a kid. I was lucky enough to play at the old Wembley, new Wembley. So, they're wonderful stadiums as well. But as I said, the stadiums that really come to mind is Highbury. That was always a good place to go to.
Yeah, I've been to Highbury as well a few times as well.
It's the worst to get away from. It's the hardest one to get away from, but it's a good stadium once you're in it.
Absolutely. Totally agree. And we live in Clark on Tuesday one, kill the game foolishly. That's sending off really pull back beauty.
Yeah, it wasn't the best thing to do at the time, but he learned his lesson pretty quickly.
Very quickly. Just 2 more as well, flash as quick as I can. And also, which goal was your favourite throughout your career?
The Liverpool one, the little poke between David James's leg, but I scored another tap-in, which, weren't too many that I got from too far, but I did against Spurs in the last minute of the game, and it got us 3 points, and the stadium erupted because it was a big goal for us as well. I scored, the Liverpool one, I've scored against at both ends when I was at Wimbledon, but I'd say that getting the winning goal for Newcastle at home, beating Spurs 1-0 was a memorable one. Walker spilled it, and I just tapped it in. But just the atmosphere and the adrenaline to get maximum points at home was a big one.
Good for you, fantastic. I remember that goal. That's brilliant. But you must have been.
Well, it was a tap in, so it weren't too hard, but it was a hard angle. A goal's a goal. As Alan would say. Listen, it doesn't say it was a tap in off 30 yards. It just said it was a goal.
Exactly. Goals is important. Exactly. I've got one more formation to play against Burnley. I would like to see us play 4-4-2.
Yeah, I would think you match up against them. I think 2 strikers is to put them under pressure. As I said, with Lewis maybe slotting in at left back, he looked reasonably comfortable, the kid. He's not had the best of times going forward, but it gives you that natural balance being left-footed. Richie, we know, is going to work hard and has got quality with his delivery. So, I would try and match up against them. Or even, as I said, we can be on the front foot. It may be simpler for the players to play like that. and see how we go. But we've got the personnel. Almiron is another one that maybe wants to get in the team, and he's been patient trying to wait. So we've got some balance going forward, but we need to be very, very organised at the back.
Right. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. That's a good answer there. And I got one as well. Do you miss the local derbies such as Sunderland and Borough?
Oh yeah. There's not, as much as I make fun of them getting relegated and not being in the area. There's special games, and it was great for the region. It was great for the city, and thankfully, when most of the times when we was there, we beat them. So it was always nice to go to Roker Park, Stadium of Lights. Go down to Borough. And get results against them. It was great for the area, great for the people. It's a special week building up to it, so I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Fantastic, good answer. I was going to say, everyone say Denver say love you, Warren.
Thank you very much. I've got to go now, if you don't mind. No problem. But it's been an absolute pleasure, my friend.
Champion stuff.
So I just want to thank you for having me on, and at any time. And when I'm in the Northeast, I'm going to tap you up, and we can go and have a beer together before we go to the game.
Champion, no problem. Listen, if I let you go, one more question. So I've got to ask everyone else as well. Did you enjoy coming on, Monsieur?
I loved it. It was fantastic. I know the cream I've got to get now for my face. The olive oil cream. I know what I've got to get now for my face to make me look better. But an absolute pleasure. As I said, you was a pleasure to be around. Good man.
Warren, you are an absolute legend. You're a Toon legend. And it's been an honour chatting to you, my guy. And, it's been brilliant just to chat to you sort of thing after hour and 50 minutes of you sort of thing. But listen, you crack on, and thank you very much for coming on, my guy. And if I find a cream for you, I'll recommend it one to you.
Good man, my friend. And you know what I say? Time flies when you're having fun. So there you go. We must have had fun.
Exactly.
Take care, my man.
You too, my guy. Take care. Bye.